Healthy Rebel Radio is sponsored by the Healthy Rebel app. 300 plus secretly healthy, delicious, mouth-watering dessert and treat recipes made with all-natural, whole food ingredients. Now available for download on the App Store and Google Play. Find out more details at healthyrebel.com.
Welcome to Healthy Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Dr. David Dyser. I'm here with my Damien Health Healthy Rebel co-founder, Amy Layne. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Good. Today on Healthy Rebel Radio, we're talking about coffee and we're talking about fasting again. Two of my favorite topics. Near and dear to my heart. It's kind of a weird thing to say, considering I just started drinking coffee. It feels like I just started, but now I know it's been many years now.
It's been many years now.
It still feels new to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't start drinking coffee until midway through naturopathic medical school, and I probably should have started sooner.
We missed our coffee drinking days together back then. I had quit coffee right when you started drinking coffee.
That's right. Larry David said that's a bad sign.
So I was off coffee for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and 6 months into having True, I started drinking coffee again.
Yeah, you're back on the coffee.
Mm-hmm.
It's enjoyable, though.
I'm not proud of it.
I mean, I wouldn't feel shame or anything like that about it.
I don't have any of those types of emotions. It's a survival tactic, but
It's also delicious.
I love quitting things and then never doing them again.
Yes.
It gives me a lot of pleasure in life.
Never is long, however.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, I didn't want it. I didn't crave it. I didn't. But when you have a baby that doesn't sleep, you need to bring in the drugs. And the drug of choice was caffeine.
Yes. This is the other thing about this is I have a deep trust in Larry David, and he said that if you both drink coffee, it'll keep you together. No comment.
Well, we don't really drink coffee together.
No, we don't actually. Well, we have.
Yeah, but not often. Because
No.
I don't have coffee till after True's first nap, so then I breastfeed her. I get 2 good full feedings in, then I have coffee, and then I have like a 3-hour break, so I feel good about the caffeine levels in my breast milk.
Yes, you're what we call a smart coffee drinker, and I'm trying to match your timing.
This is the new trend.
This is the new trend. It's been reported many times recently. I don't know who got famous for talking about this, but it makes total sense to me, and I see the benefit in it. The premise is this: when you wake up in the morning, you get a rise in cortisol when the sun goes down and your melatonin goes down. You should ride out that cortisol and not take a stimulant at the same time, because what can happen is...
When the sun comes up, you mean?
Did I say down?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When the sun comes up in the morning, your melatonin will go down. Your cortisol should rise. If it doesn't rise, that's another issue called adrenal insufficiency. Something to check into. But if it does rise like it should when the sun rises, you should feel some energy and you should be ready to go. If you were to add on stimulants to that and try to push adrenaline and cortisol together at the same time using coffee, if you're sensitive to it, then what happens over time is that your production of cortisol first thing in the morning can be less, and you might not get that natural rise as much as you would if you didn't drink coffee at the same time. So theoretically, you should wait an hour or two before you have your cup of coffee when the cortisol is starting to make its way down, and then if you want to ride it out a little longer, that's when you should enjoy it. And right now you're in that 3-hour zone, sometimes 4-hour zone, which is pretty good. Pretty good. And then you have energy, because you have pretty good energy in the morning. And then after your cup of coffee, you have good energy again for her playtime.
Yeah, and I have to be really careful about coffee. I only have 1 cup, and I keep it...
Oh, it's tiny. You're a baby about it.
Well, I have to. I know my body.
Yeah, oh, definitely. It's a good thing.
And I could go into fight or flight really easily.
You don't need much to benefit from the effects. I think you enjoy drinking it, though. Is there some enjoyment there?
I guess.
Coziness?
I wouldn't know. It's really like... I'm usually chugging cold coffee.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
it's not like a classy,
right.
it's not like it used to be back in the day. Like, get my cozy morning outfit on and get my coffee and read inspirational. It's like, you know.
I know. I wouldn't say mine's like that anymore either.
A mad dash of drinking cold. Like, the coffee I had today, I think was from yesterday.
Oh, no, it definitely was.
And I probably had a quarter cup. Like, that was my ice cold, day old.
Okay, we're not making this recommendation.
None of this do I recommend. But,
no.
I mean, if you have a baby and no family, this is your reality.
No, that's right.
And no childcare.
No family close. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm still within the first hour, although today I waited and it felt great. The other thing about this is if you exercise first thing in the morning, that can sustain you longer to that cup of coffee, I find.
I used to love exercising first thing in the morning.
Yeah, it feels good.
It feels like you accomplished your whole day.
It does. I mean, we're both type A, and when type A's have a few things on the list, getting one thing checked off first thing in the morning, oh my gosh.
The ball is rolling.
I feel so warm inside.
I feel like I've already accomplished everything. Everything else just rolls.
Yes.
After that.
It really does.
Yeah.
So there's so many things to talk about on this subject. But what I find most interesting is if you need coffee to get going first thing, then it seems like this is not applicable to you. This is more applicable to you because your brain's not responding to adrenal output first thing when the sun comes up. You need to tell those receptors to wake up. And throwing more stimulants on is not the way to do it.
Yeah.
It's a healing practice that needs to take place. So postponing your coffee a couple hours or practicing some discipline. I know it's hard and it can be a nightmare. I've been there. You've been there in a significant way. But you're crazy and you cut it all in one day and then you haven't drank it again until recently. But for most people, take an hour. Oh, I'm super tired. What am I supposed to do? I don't recommend exercising in that case because it can suppress your cortisol even more or it can burn you out. A lot of people would say. I would recommend vitamin C.
I would recommend meditating and journaling.
Absolutely. Practicing discipline for an hour of some sort. A lot of people will do a smoothie. Just force themselves to make a smoothie. Put some vitamin C in there. Some protein, vegan protein if you can, and then just think good thoughts or practice some sort of meditation. And then an hour later,
like a meditative book even.
Yeah, I mean, as parents, we're talking about this and it's feeling totally fake. There's no way. There's no way in that first hour.
Yeah, but all of that sounds amazing. So if you don't have kids or if your children are sleeping in, like past the time, you know what I mean, if you get up before them, this is all the things I'd be doing. Oh
yeah, well we're gonna do an episode on this subject. All the things that we would be doing,
used to do, and will be doing again.
Found benefit in, and now would like to be doing again.
Yeah, now that I'm a mother, I feel like I should write an apology letter to everybody I ever coached that was a mother. Because I feel like I was just a supreme asshole. Like, I didn't get it. Like, full on. And I'm a very empathetic person.
Definitely.
Like I'm not a naive person, but I didn't get it. And especially if you have a child that has, digestion issues and sleep issues and is not, I don't want to say high maintenance, but we all know what that means if you are a mother. A child that needs attention.
Yeah, and we're coming from a place of just having a baby who's normal maintenance. She's absolutely perfect. And we have to do everything. And it's a lot.
No, it's not a lot. It's all consuming.
Yeah, it's everything.
So, I wish I could, round up all the emails of the thousands of women that I coached. I really do.
Yeah.
And just say, I'm sorry I'm an asshole. And just send that. I feel like they know. They would know. They'd be like, you get it now, don't you?
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's too funny. So, if you're waking up tired and you need coffee to get going,
it's a sign that you need a break.
Practicing a little break. It's the same thing with after lunch. So the idea for this is most people would have their coffee I know a lot of people, I should say, who like to have their coffee right after lunch. I'm one of them. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing it all wrong. I like to have my coffee as soon as I get up, and then I like to have it again right after lunch. Right after lunch is not a great idea because we know we get these spikes in cortisol with meals as it gets lower and lower through the course of the day. You want to wait a bit. You want to go mid-afternoon if you're an afternoon coffee drinker. If you have sleeping issues, then you should not be an afternoon coffee drinker.
No.
If you
don't. And I mean, even past 12. When I was having issues, I couldn't go past 12.
A lot of people are that way. A lot of people. And it, I completely understand it. There's a lot of stress and there's a lot of anxiety out there. And you don't want to be, especially drinking the coffees with tons and tons of caffeine, like some of the brands out there that have extra caffeine.
Like Starbucks?
It's a real problem. It's a real problem, yeah. If you drink at-home coffee versus Starbucks coffee or some other out restaurant or cafe type coffee, you know the difference. You can tell. It's significant. Anyhow, mid-afternoon is the other idea. Is postponing that after lunch coffee just a little bit, and then it will have less of an impact on adrenal dysfunction long term, potentially for a lot of people. So I think that's interesting, and a lot of people like myself are doing it potentially at the wrong time, and you're not. I think you're benefiting from the way that you're doing it now, but you've been pushed into this. Because of her schedule, which is also fascinating to me. The second thing we want to talk about today is on the topic of intermittent fasting, because we have been talking about that a lot. And if you haven't listened to our past episodes, I've been doing it for months, on and off in the last couple of weeks. But overall, my experience has been great. We did an episode, I believe, where we talked about some pros and cons. Maybe I've just been talking about it with my patients a lot, but there's a few cons out there to intermittent fasting. A lot of people will experience constipation. There's potential for nutrient deficiencies like iron and B12. These things happen. But some of the new reading I've been looking into is stress response. And people who are extremely stressed and having difficult losing weight at the same time, so these things are happening concurrently, if they start intermittent fasting, sometimes it makes it worse.
Yeah, we touched on this, and that's who I said shouldn't be doing it. Like, if I had done it back when I was having adrenal fatigue issues, well, I basically was intermittent fasting.
Yeah, you were doing a significant period of fasting, yes.
So, I wasn't losing any weight.
No.
So there was a whole host of issues. So if you go from having a problem that needs to be healed to jumping on the intermittent fasting train, you're going to think intermittent fasting doesn't work. That's going to be your experience. I think that's true for so many different things in life that, everything's out there as a tool, and there's a lot of great tools, but if we use them in the wrong time in our life, then they actually harm us.
Or in the wrong way. And this is why I like to practice holistically. There's so many things to look at with this. If you try something, and we know that we learn best by experiencing, and the experience is poor, then automatically you think that the information is fake. Because your experience will prove that. So when things are oversimplified, this happens all the time.
Right. So I think a lot of people also think intermittent fasting is a ticket to eat whatever they want during other times. I think that's a real problem right now with intermittent fasting. And we've said very clearly that it's not magic. It's not a magic ticket. You still have to eat on program. It's just something to add on to it that may increase your results or even make results better or help with healing, help with energy, all those things. But you can't, eat McDonald's, then fast, then think, where are my abs? No, you can't. And you don't even have to call it intermittent fasting. You don't have to get so serious about it like so many people do. Just don't eat at night. That's why I think the saying, the circadian rhythm, intermittent fasting, is what we are into. I like it. I like practicing it. It's a bit hard in British Columbia because we're getting so much sun right now that the circadian rhythm aspect isn't really resonating with people that much. But a little more explanation, and it does come across. The
the point about your situation where you were at with the high stress and how you were basically intermittent fasting, I want to mention the reason for this. When you're fasting, if you do it for a long period of time, you'll get a stress response. You'll get a cortisol increase. Cortisol is responsible for mobilizing blood sugar. So it actually helps your liver make sugar, which goes into your bloodstream, and you use that to run. Right? That's what it's for. And then subsequently, the pancreas will release insulin so you can pull cortisol into the tissues. If you don't exercise, that's going to be used to build tissue. Insulin is anabolic in nature. So for a lot of people who already have high stress levels and are already experiencing a high state of cortisol adrenal response, they're most likely pushing that pancreas and running high levels of insulin. And then if you add fasting onto that, boom, the body thinks, oh my gosh, we need to release more of this insulin. And you not only do you experience belly fat or abdominal weight gain, but you also can experience significant blood sugar swings. Then you've got this stress response, and then this extreme body fatigue. Tired but wired. Happens all the time, especially at the end of the day or after meals. A lot of people experience this. But with intermittent fasting, we usually see it at night, and then in the morning people normally feel all right, but they don't lose weight. That's for sure. It's fascinating.
It is.
It's a complex thing. If something doesn't work for you, and it's been documented that it's effective, that it's quite effective, like for example intermittent fasting, at a minimum, will cause a 10% weight loss over the course of 6 months. If you do, I think it's 13 or 14 hours a day. I can't remember what the number was.
But then not binge.
No, not binge.
That's the real key for people, and especially.
Oh yes.
You know, people that haven't healed their stuff before they go into it. Like, that's why with, say what I do with my people that I coach in my programs, you know, I rope them in through the titles of Bikini Body, and I play on the, you want the bikini body. But at the same time, we're healing, you know, thoughts, beliefs, patterns, abuse cycles. You know, you have to look at all that stuff, because you can't just put a Band-Aid over it and make it. Or everybody would literally be fit.
You do, and in health, and it's not just for weight loss. It's you have to get people motivated.
Well, weight loss is the motivation. That's what what I've learned, and that's why I feel completely comfortable working in the weight loss industry, as like tacky and whatever as it can be. Mm-hmm. I don't feel any shame with it, because weight loss is the motivation, and there's no shame in that.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's one of those things in life that it's a physical representation that something's off. Mm-hmm. Something's not working for you. Because as humans, we're not supposed to be toting around extra body fat.
No, and we know how incredibly dangerous it is. It's in your face, like you said.
Yeah.
It's motivating.
It is.
And now we know how dangerous it is, quantified now. You know.
Especially for women.
Especially, my gosh.
And it's the double thing, because, you know, I get upset about it too, because women are, you know, we're made to carry a little more body fat, you know, and the standards are so high for us to be so lean, whatever. I'm not talking about, you know, being wave thin, and then unless that's your goal and that's what you want to do, but it's all really tricky stuff.
It is. You mentioned the binge eating. I want to explain in more depth about intermittent fasting and binge eating and the stress response that we love talking about, and we talked about it twice already today. The binge eating we're talking about is you have a stress response, your cortisol goes up, or you fast, and if you did it long enough, you can get a stress response. Boom, insulin goes up, drops your blood sugar, and what happens? Sugar cravings. The body needs sugar, not only to use up the insulin that was released, because the pancreas can do a little more than needs be, but also if you drop your blood sugar really quickly, then boom, you're craving sugar. So if you break the fast by accident, or say you give in to a craving and you eat at night, then things can be much worse than they were before. We've all experienced this on a disciplined plan, and then just have a really terrible treat night. And the ramifications from that with respect to water retention and weight gain and fatigue and headaches.
Well, and then that causes you to eat more crap.
It does.
And a lot of the times we're eating foods that trigger the hormones that then make us crave it. So not only is like our emotions driving us to keep going, we're actually chemically being driven to keep going.
Exactly. Oh, this is physical.
That's why you have to step out. And like I always try to make people visualize like stepping out in front of themselves and pulling themselves along until everything clicks and then you're rolling. Like people think that motivation, because sometimes motivation does like come down from the sky and like strike you like lightning. But the reality is really motivation is created, and it's created by action first, and action and action and action for your highest good, and then the motivation clicks in at this time and then you're rolling. That's what motivation really is. I feel like we're lied to about what motivation is. Like, we're all sitting around waiting to be motivated. It's not a thing.
Definitely. Looking outside of ourselves.
Right.
The way that because I've experienced this.
Oh, we all...
You know me. I'm a pastry guy. Donuts. That's my jam. So, I fast on Mondays. Tuesdays, I'm looking for donuts. Like, and I know if I'm fasting on Monday, Sundays, I'm out on the streets.
Getting donuts. Yeah.
So... this is not the way to do this.
No.
And the best way I've found to counteract this sugar craving or this desire, if you have had blood sugar control issues in the past, or if, let's say, you were an athlete who doesn't work out 2 hours a day now, like myself, about how difficult blood sugar control can be, then next morning, the best thing you can do is to have a healthy breakfast. Like, to plan it in advance. It can be huge. But it all needs to be incredibly healthy.
Well, and the way that you have huge meals, because I love having huge meals, is you load veggies. And
by huge, I like that you pointed this out. By huge, we're talking about you feel full.
That's what I mean. Like, I love feeling full.
Yeah.
But I'm, like, the majority of what I eat is vegetables. And, you know, there's nothing better than that.
No.
Because you feel full, but you never feel gross. You feel satiated. Plus, it's like this light fuel, yet you're full. Like, it's like the best feeling ever, and you feel it being burned. Like, you feel, I don't know, for me, I feel like my hair being nourished, my eyes, my skin. Like, I feel, it just feels right. You know, you wake up the next morning and you feel tight.
Definitely.
Oh, what's better than that?
Oh my gosh. What's better than that?
I do want to say shout out to new moms. Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're doing all this stuff and you still haven't lost, say, the last 10 pounds, there's 2 things that could be going wrong. And this is a full episode we should write down that I want to do probably tomorrow.
Okay.
There's new things about breastfeeding. You know, we're all told that breastfeeding burns calories. Well, there's a little hidden trick lie in there that could be keeping 10 pounds on you. Plus, if your baby's not sleeping through the night yet, you're not going to get to your goal weight.
No.
There's no way.
Very difficult.
You just can't. It's a high problem. Like, I mean, obviously in the pie chart, there's 10% of women that are going to be able to do it. The majority aren't. And that doesn't mean, like, you should go to bed tonight with a thing of ice cream and chips.
No.
Like, you keep doing, like, eating healthy and exercising, but just know that your time will come. And that there's just... Anyway, I want to make sure that we do that tomorrow, because that's 2 things that are huge for new moms.
Is it ever? And it's important to keep front and center in your mind, because it can be so frustrating.
Yeah, and that's why I also say I was an asshole to these women.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, I was pushing them, and I should have been being more supportive and more educated in the area of prolactin and more educated in the area of sleep cycles.
This happens in all professions. You can book learn as much as you possibly can.
And those are things that are not in the books of my education, of what I learned.
Well, and they're not front and center in any education. I mean, no. It's not something that you focus on, because it's...
That's even the strangest thing. Like, when you go into, like, breastfeeding and all the education with breastfeeding, this prolactin stuff wasn't in any of this educational material. I kind of dig for it. Anyway, that's a whole other...
We'll chat about it. We'll chat about it. Not to pull it back to me, but I was just talking about vegetables, and you were saying about how to break the fast, and how you like to do tons and tons of veggies. Well, I'll just tell what I do, because I have a more broad diet than you. I do the hard-boiled eggs in the morning on whole grain toast with spinach and I will sometimes do the sriracha. And then, but the key to this whole thing and breaking the fast, because that's a meal I love and I look forward to, and I can plan that the night before. The key to this is the smoothie. You're doing a green smoothie with either kale or spinach, and some filling things in there with lots of fiber and water.
And we have tons of good recipes on the blog of really fiber-rich, filling green smoothies.
We're doing ground flax, and we like tropical fruit.
Sometimes chia, sometimes hemp seeds.
A little bit of fat. If it's part of your program specifically, a little bit of fat in there. And if you add the smoothie into this light breakfast that is also something that you find delicious, then you're breaking the fast in a way that is sustainable, enjoyable, and it just makes the rest of the day so much better. Then you're full straight through, and maybe even lunch won't be that large. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
And see, when I'm in that zone, I would do the smoothie with you, but then I skip over any type of breakfast food, and I do like a hummus platter.
Yes, you do.
I like lunch.
Raw veggie, normal.
I like lunch for breakfast. I'm not a breakfast person. There's nothing really there for me except for if I'm in the mood to just do fruit. But what I'll do is literally every vegetable available to man and homemade hummus. And I mow down.
Yes. I think this is a real thing I've noticed in my practice, that a real change I've noticed is the breakfast foods that I'm seeing people come in with. They're not breakfast foods as much as they used to be. It's not like cereal.
No.
Most of my patients don't consume dairy.
No.
And most people don't eat a ton of bread. No. So I'm seeing a ton of different breakfast foods, and the range, it's being more accepted to have, say, leftovers.
That's what I used to do too, yeah. Like lunch. I love lunch foods for breakfast.
Oh, definitely.
Like, I just do.
But you eat a ton of fruit.
Yes, I do.
So,
I'm not afraid of fruit.
No. And as no one really should be.
I know.
Anything else to add to today's show?
No, I think that was really good.
Great. That's Healthy Rebel Radio for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe on iTunes.
Yes.
Leave us a review. And follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all those places. And we thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.
See you.
Healthy Rebel Radio is presented by the online health and wellness center, DamiHealth.com. Since 2009, Amy Layne has successfully coached thousands of women through her signature program, the Bikini Body Program. Join today to work exclusively with Amy to unveil your greatest yet to be from the inside out. Go to DamiHealth.com for more information.
Thank you for listening to Healthy Rebel Radio. Please connect with us on our community pages on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, all at the handle @DamiHealth. For weekly recipes, articles, and all our episodes straight to your inbox, join our newsletter at DamiHealth.com. You can find all the links discussed in today's episode in the show notes. Thank you for joining us, and see you tomorrow.